Okay, so we'll just fire up EasyQuote after having checked the Windows 7 compatibility level, and it is Windows Vista. So we log on first, and the default username and password is super and user. The reason we provide a password protected access mechanism is to prevent unauthorized access to your information. We now open the main database, which is easyq2.mdb. Database is compacted by default on startup, and the compaction minimizes the size of the database on disk, and it also makes it more efficient to access in the program, so it's faster. Now we've been prompted to enter our details for the organisation at the moment and configure EasyQuote. I'm just going to cancel that because we're going to go in and do it manually. So you'll notice here there are three main sections to the program. There's the database browser, which is the browser button, the quote editor, which is the quoting button, and the options and preferences, which allows you to configure EasyQuote for your business under the options button. And the first thing I'm going to do is go into the options, and I'm going to configure business details, markups, quoting information, and my general preferences. Now I have some pre-prepared data here, so you don't need to sit and watch me type it all in. I'm just going to simply copy and paste it. So the title of our business, paste that in, David's Panel and Paint Shop. Enter our ABN. Enter our address. City and suburb is Fremantle. Postcode 6160. Phone numbers, which are obviously mock-up phone numbers. They're not real at all. Fax number. Okay, we've now completed the configuration of EasyQuote for the business called David's Panel and Paint Shop, and all of this information that we've just entered will appear on the reports you generate in the quote editor, including the quotes, the invoices, the email quotes, and so on. Now we're going to have a quick look up at the markups tab. So the percentages for parts at the moment, the defaults are set to new parts 12.5%, non-genuine 12.5%, second-hand exchange parts 15%, and we've also got freight percentages and GST. Now go to the quoting tab. Now the first section here is quote header and footer. The header is information that appears at the top of every quote. The footer is information that appears at the bottom of every quote. So we're just going to configure that now. So at the top of every quote you'll see all work fully guaranteed. At the bottom of every quote you will see thank you for allowing David's Panel and Paint to quote on your vehicle. Invoice text is text that's printed at the bottom of every invoice. In this case, it's payment terms and conditions. We'd like to have our payment possible within 30 days. And there's also the payment thank you text. We can actually generate a report that's a thank you to the client after we receive payment, and we can send that out as an email if we wish, or we can print it out So that's the quoting side of things completely configured. Now go to the General tab. Database settings, automatically compact easy quote database on open, so minimize the size on disk, so we'll have that. And quote editor settings, display the total number of quote records in the database when clicking open. This will basically pop up a dialog when we go to open a quote, telling us how many records, how many quotes are actually in the database. And we also are going to display a warning before deleting rows from the assessment of work grid. So in other words, the assessment of work grid is all of the parts, extras, and labour items that we're going to put on the quote, and before we delete any of those we'll get a warning. And also database browser settings, fields to include when auto-filling vehicle insurance details. I'll show you this shortly. We're just going to put in the insurer's ABN in the vehicle insurance details box. So that is, coming back to business details, the options and preferences dialog.